All right, good morning. Happy Monday. Let's get moving. We're going to start with adductor foam rolling. Okay? I don't know, we don't usually talk about core training and core stability or core mobility or core strength. I don't really talk about the word, core became just kind of overused. But at the same time, it's a very important aspect of the body when it comes to performance and just overall function in life. So I just want to give you my definition of what is the core. So I gotta say, it's going to start up in the lats. So the lats attach through the thoracolumbar fascia, a big, deep, dense group of fascia right here in the low back, to the glutes and the hips. So I have to include the lats in the core. When it comes to the midsection here, rectus abdominis is definitely part of it, but it's only a part of it. We've got all of the internal and external obliques, as well as the transverse abdominals that hold everything high and utilize the concept of tensegrity to hold you upright, right? So everything between the ribs and the hips has to be included. Everything around the hips is included. The glutes, all three layers, the max, the med, and the min, as well as piriformis, which you can't stop talking about, right? Because when the glutes fail, the only thing left hanging on, holding you together, is that piriformis, which also encapsulates the sciatic nerve. And once you get down to that level of dysfunction or overtraining or overuse within the hips, you definitely know it, because when that sciatic nerve gets a little pissy, that's when that shooting pain goes down the legs. The anchor of the core is the inner thigh, the adductors. So if you're just to take it, everything between the armpits and the adductors is included in my definition of core. All right, so let's get the foam roller. And that means we need to address all of those muscles when we're trying to set the body up for success when it comes to performance. So we're going to break the femur down into three pieces, down by the knee, where we're going to just kind of play with some internal rotation of the hip. So make sure that foam roller is perpendicular to the femur. Let's go down into TV time with the upper body and just play with that internal rotation of the hip. There's mobility. Active movement through a nice range of motion to ensure that that muscle is functioning and that muscle is online. Okay, let's go down up into the second third, right in the belly of the adductor group. And it's a group. There's a bunch of muscles in there, a few. They work together. And then we go up all the way up next to the pelvis. And when we get up here, we're going to work that internal rotation again. So you're right next to the pubic bone. Try to get that upper body nice and flat. And then just work into the internal rotation there as well. And good. I gotta say, I've been fighting off a cold, so it's not unusual that I'm not that inhibited today. My movement, probably over recovering, losing a little bit of that training effect. Okay, same thing other side, but no option, gotta get better. Right down by the knee, that first third. Whew, a little spicy there. Good. And we work some internal rotation down by the knee. Every time I lift my foot, my hip goes into internal rotation. Means the external rotators have to lengthen. So they don't switch off, but they have that eccentric movement that's relative to the strength and function of the internal rotators of the hip. Okay, let's go into that next third. That's a big concept to understand too, how muscles work together, and that you just don't want to strengthen one at the expense of another, because they have to go together. They always say if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. Okay, good. I've been wondering when I can use that quote. I've been really liking that one. Let's take it all the way up into that adductor magnus, right up by the pelvis. And we're going to work again into internal rotation. And good. All right. Quick hit on the lats, because starting at the top and looking at how we hold ourselves up, if the lats are tight, it's going to pull us into that forward position, the shoulders forward. And if we're into that shoulders forward position, the thoracic spine will not move well. All right, so we're just going to take that nice and easy through the lats. And good. And you see I'm cross-fibering here, just kind of dragging the skin across skin, fascia, and muscle. So there's connective tissue. There's a lot going on in there, but we're just getting it gliding and sliding. Okay, same thing other side. Working those lateral aspects of the lats onto the rib cage. The rib cage needs that freedom. Good. Just moving it across, a little bit of up and down. And good. All right, a couple weeks ago we did this movement. Now, a Kleenex box works just as well as a foam roller. Kleenex box probably about that long, foam roller a couple extra inches. But I'm going to put you up against a wall. And if you can't do it against a wall this morning, then feel free to just do it freestanding. But we want to be just far enough from the wall that we can take that foam roller and just put it between the knee and the wall. That's going to give us a little bit of activation of the adductors. So that means we're going to get a little bit more of the upregulation of the relationship between the inner thigh and the outer hip. All right? And from right there, we're just going to take the hand together. We did this movement, but we didn't do it up against the wall. So we've got the left knee up. The right arm is going to go along the wall and then come back. When it comes back, we take the left arm and just open it up. So up and over, and then open. This feels really nice. It's easy to do. You don't need more motion than this, but the effect of on the thoracic spine is insane. It feels so good. And we work the separation. One more rep here. We work the separation of the lower body stays nice and stable, and the upper body is nice and mobile. Good. Okay, so with the addition of the adductor switching on or upregulating or activating, there's lots of different ways to say that. We go right knee up, two hands, start at the height of the heart. Take that left arm up and over, all the way back, and then open it up. And it's not unusual that the first one is a little bit tighter than the last one. 2, 3. Fun fact, just based on my shirt today, you're getting that back view right there. I'm Canadian. I'm from British Columbia. Born and raised. Came to the University of Colorado to play basketball for the Buffs. And went and played a little bit of professional basketball in Europe when I graduated. And graduate school in the South at Tulane, and then made my way back to Boulder. So anyway, that's just in reference to the shirt. So lateral half kneeling. We're still focusing on that adductor group, all right? So let's take the foot, make sure the foot is nice and straight, 2 hands onto the ground, and we're just going to gently rock back and forward. Those hands are directly under the shoulders. And as we peek over the cliff, we're even going to get a little bit of mobility through the wrists and hands. Okay? So don't be afraid if you feel a little bit of tension right here on those hands. Spread the fingers. Make sure that the hands are alive. Don't let them be a passive observer. Right? Good. Go about 10 of those. Good. And we'll go lateral half kneeling on the other side. I've gotten really comfortable down on one knee because I do so much of this movement. Okay, so from right here, first movement is just to stay tall. Keep the ribs way off the hips. You'll see me do that a lot. This measuring sticks, this is from Doc Goodman from Foundation Training. It's one of my pillars of systems that I use to help athletes learn to stay strong and tall. Okay? Get that foot nice and straight. Make sure the heel is in line with the toe and that you're not externally rotated and turned out. Okay? So heels in line with toe, hands on right directly under the shoulders, and we're just going to rock back and forth. 2, 3. If you can go back further than I am, definitely go for it. A little tight right there. And that's mostly coming from my knee on my right side. It's not like I have a knee problem. I'm just identifying like what's the limiter. As I push back a little bit, get a little bit of tautness through that adductor. Mondays are always a good day for that full body scan. And good. And good. Go a couple more of those. Okay, shake that out. Get up into a standing position. It's the type A personality, man. I gotta straighten my mat out. We're gonna go into that wide stance. And we're gonna break this next one into pieces. Anchor your stance, that means your heels are outside of your toes. We're just gonna work the hip hinge, okay? So just pushing the hips back, load the heels up. Butt is way behind the heels. Chest and eyes stay up on me. And just hip hinge, 2. And if you don't feel any big tension, that's okay too. 3. Just work that hip hinge. 4. Keep the integrity of the spine, the length through the spine. 5. 6. We're loading the back line right there. 7. 8. 2 more. 9. Good. And 10. All right, next thing, we're going to go into a forward reach as we work the hip hinge. Maintain the integrity of the spine. Keep the eyes up, chin tucked into the throat. Push the hands forward. Just get a little bit more activation and upregulation of the back line of the body. 3, because we've got to counterbalance. 4. 5. 6, chest stays up. 7. Head stays in that nice stacked position. 8. 9, toes stay on the ground. And 10. Okay, good. From there, keeping in that wide position, hands hang down between the thighs, and we're just going to go straight over the top, touch the longest finger to the ground. If you can go all the way to the ground, great, but don't do it. We want to do mobility, not flexibility. So there's going to be a lot of you that are hypermobile, that can go hands or maybe even elbows to the ground. Don't care. We're just going to go straight down, keep tension in the system, and we're just touching the ground, come straight back up. Push the hips back, work the hinge. Good. Now, what are the lats doing here? The lats are going into a very shortened position. We've got a nice neutral spine, but the hands are in front of the body. So since the lat attaches on the front of the shoulder, we're actually not really challenging the lats to get longer and speak to those adductors in a really concise, I'm going to give you tons of space kind of way. So next movement, we're going to take the right hand, grab the back of your head, okay? So my fingertips are over here. My right arm fingertips by the left ear. And all I want you to do is a side bend. Side bend. Keep the elbow back. 3, we're creating space between the ribs and the hips on the right side. 7, 8, 9, and 10. And really similar to how we were on the wall, the hips aren't moving much. So we're working on separating the upper and the lower body. Okay, left hand grabs the back of the head. From right here, we're going to create all this space on the left lateral line. So just a nice little side bend, not forcing anything. It's the old I'm a little teapot. 3, 4, just lengthen. 5, get a nice side bend to the spine. 6, 7, keep going. 8, just open up that whole lateral line. 9, one more. And 10, and good. Next move, we're going to work the hands to the front, hips to the back. So we go from a founder position. We're just going to load to the right, and then back up, and load to the left, back up. 3, keep the hands to the front so the butt can push way back. Work that hip hinge, lateral gliding, load the adductor, strengthen and activate the lead leg. Okay? Good. Good. And good. All right. Shake that out. Let's just go into a little more hip rotation. So we'll go into a shorter split stance. Stand on the lead leg so that you're stacked on top of the lead leg. So if you look straight down, you're going to see that your nose is directly over top of your toes. Nose over toes. Okay? Now, take your nose and push it 3 inches in front of your toes. Take your back hip. We're just dropping straight across. So as the left hip comes into the midline, the pelvis moves and adjusts. This hip bone drops. So this shoulder also drops with it. Okay, so if it's the left side, left shoulder is going to be lower than the right. 3, 4, and that just maintains a nice straight spine. Good. Whew. Working into internal rotation on the lead leg and loading that lateral musculature that stops it from moving, right? Just as it's funny that muscles actually play a role not only producing force, but also reducing force and movement. So that relationship is really, really important. Okay, stack on the left leg. If you look straight down, nose is directly over the toes. Look over the cliff just a little bit. Forward shift, nose is now in front of the toes. Take your right hip, take it to the midline of the body. Right shoulder drops just a little bit because the right hip drops. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice and easy. 9. You don't have to force this. It should come quite easy. And good. All right, so now we've got some hip rotation. We've paid a little bit more attention to the lats. Let's put it all together. Big finale here. We're going to go into the wide stance. Anchor the stance. Heels outside toes. From right here, we're going to take the right hand, grab the back of the head. We're going to glide to the right. And then we're going to side bend to the left. But you can see my chest is also forward. That's in response to my hips going backwards. Okay? So right hand behind. We're going to glide to the right. Left hand reaches down the left leg. Push the hips back. Come right back up. So now we're dealing with the right lat through the abdominal cavity, through the pelvic floor, into the left adductor. 2, it's a big move. 3, hips back. 4, good. And 5. So we're using the front and back part of the body as well. We're not trying to stay skinny and thin. We're using the front as it relates to a big hip hinge. All right? Other side. So we take left hand, grab the back of the head. We're going to glide to the left. Right hand is going to go ahead and push your hips back and reach down the right leg. 2. So we've got that nice side bend, opening up the left lat, push the hips back, opening up the right adductor. 3, 4, and 5. Let's go 5 more each side, and then we'll call it a Monday mobility, okay? Right hand behind the head, left hand reaching down the thigh. 1. If you spend a lot of time in aero on the bicycle, this should feel quite good to you, to be able to get into this position and recognize that the longer we get the lats, and in response to that, you can't just have length in a muscle and expect it's going to stay there. You also have to strengthen that muscle, right? Or it just regains its shortness. Some people, although they are so wrong, strong muscles are not tight muscles. If you're paying attention to how the muscle moves and how you need your body to function. Strong muscles can be long muscles, and they will hold their length longer in performance. And I know that to be true. 1 more. Woo! It creates a more robust, resilient athlete to have a strong, mobile athlete. Mobility is not enough. You also need strength. But you need a strength through a full range of motion. All right, you guys, I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you for joining me today. Definitely, I'm on the tail end of this illness, but moving always feels better. I hope you're doing well. I'll see you next week.